I remember very well the last time you were here. You played the Mendelssohn concerto with us, a wonderful concerto you played. This time you're bringing a very new piece, a piece written to you by Pascal Dussapin. Did you personally commission this concerto?
Yes, I went one day to meet Pascal Dussapin in a cafe in Paris. I think it's 5 years ago. And I asked him to write me a concerto. I asked him, I was suggesting him. And we stayed for 2 hours speaking together. And in fact, he had already begun some ébauche, some beginning of something. But it never worked. He worked on like a few, perhaps 100 bars or something of a violin concerto, which never existed. So a few days later, we spoke again, and we decided that we would build together this concerto. He wrote it, of course, himself. And we did the premiere with Renaud Capucon A in Köln in April or March 13, so 2 years ago. In the meanwhile, we played the piece. I played the piece in a lot of countries, and now it's a premiere in Norway. So I'm absolutely thrilled, and I love this piece. I think now it's totally in my repertoire, and I know it's being interesting for a lot of other violinists. Victoria Mulova, Caroline Widman are going to play it, and I think it's great because it means it's a piece which speaks, and which speaks also to public. So looking forward to play it here for the first time.
Yes. Did you take an active part in the composing process?
No, not at all. I'm the kind of guy who, when I'm commissioning a piece, I let them absolutely, they do whatever they want, and I don't change anything. I try, of course, if it's impossible, then we try, but not to. But in general, I didn't change anything, and for this concerto, I really, even though it's very difficult, I spend days and days and nights practicing it. But now it's here, so.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful to me, especially the second movement is extremely beautiful. Can you describe the concerto to our audience? What was Dussapin's idea or his inspiration when writing it?
This is still a question. I think he doesn't even know himself. It's clearly inspired by some Far East things.
Yes.
But we don't really know what. He clearly is. He always tells me that he was very inspired, and this piece is very special for him. But I think this is what is fantastic with these composers. Where do they go to look for these things? Where does it come from? And I guess it's a combination of what they are as persons, as composers, as what they took from some other composers, some others, what they were nourished with literature, with culture, with life, and it comes out as a piece. And clearly this second movement and the whole concerto, which is called Aufgang. Aufgang means coming out. This kind of something which is, we would say lever du jour in French, which is like something which is
somewhere I wrote it's a kind of staircase to.
Yeah, it's something which is opening
growing,
or just growing.
out.
That's exactly what it means, and so it's quite interesting, and it means a lot also to play it and to bring it in all these different places.
We have, as a violinist of your caliber, you have a huge repertoire to choose from. You still find it very important to commission new pieces and expand the repertoire.
Oh yeah, I think it's for me it's a joy, because it's wonderful to be able to work with. Now last month was with Wolfgang Grimm and also with Mantovani, and next year will be with Connaisson and Widman, and it is just wonderful to have the same process that was existing with Brahms and Joachim, with any composer and any first player in the history. My repertoire is quite large, but I think the repertoire of any musicians today of the 21st century has to be like this. When I see what people are asking, they ask you to play one day Beethoven, the next day it's a Schumann concerto, then it's Berg, then it's Lalo, so of course if you can't play, you don't play. But as a curious and as a musician in love with music, really, and always trying to have different experiences, I think it's wonderful to be able to play. Last week I played Beethoven and Lindbergh concertos. This week I play Du Sapin, and 2 weeks before I was playing Saint-Saëns. And next week I will play again some chamber music and some quartets. And in a way, it makes you never be bored, you know. And it's every time different, and it makes a great life. Of course, very active, but nice.
Yes, but you have to prepare differently when playing contemporary music than when preparing for Brahms concerto.
Well, it's not the same. It's not the same thing, and in another way, it's exactly the same thing because it's music. We say contemporary music, but it is music. Brahms was contemporary music one day, you know. So it's always interesting to. So when I defend, when I play a concerto like Du Sapin or a modern piece, I play it like I play the Berg concerto, like I play the Mendelssohn, like I play Brahms. I play like a great piece of music. And I don't have a different sound. I don't use a different instrument. Some people ask me, do you take another instrument because you might hurt your violin? I say, what do you mean? Unless a composer would ask to, you know, which is not the case, and which then I wouldn't do because I think it wouldn't be really music, but it's another subject. But as soon as there is emotion, as soon as there is quality in music, then there is no question of 20th century. Even though in the way of playing, of course, you don't use, for example, last week I played one day Beethoven, the next day it was a tour and we were mixing programs, so the next day I played the Lindbergh concerto, same conductor, same orchestra, and of course it was not using the same pieces of my brain, because first of all you play by memory the Beethoven, you don't play by memory a new piece, which it's too complicated in a way, and for me I would need to use so many days, and I think it's better just to have the music. And but I think this is not a subject. But what is a subject is that you don't play with this. At least myself, I don't use my brain in the same way. As if I play a Beethoven quartet and I play a concerto, it would be even another way of playing. If I play a Brahms trio, it's again another way of playing. So I think it is what is very exciting. And if I play Bach alone, it will be even something else. So this makes things quite exciting.
Yes. And for many members of the audience, they often tell me that they find it difficult to relate to new music.
That's why our role of players is to make them feel that it's completely in our blood.
Exactly.
If we play, this contemporary music, singing, it's modern. Then of course it will take ages to come to them. But if we take it if we embrace it, and if we play it with the same, the same energy and the same love that when we play the Brahms, then it's already much easier for them to take it.
Yes. So that's the key.
For me, I think it is one of the keys.
I agree, it's the key to understand and enjoy all music. We do it with our hearts and soul. I agree. You have a great instrument with you. It's a marvelous violin. It's even you made a movie about it, or someone made it,
yes.
A film. Can you give us the short story of how it came into your hands?
Well, the violin is a Guarnerius del Gesù from 1737. It is called the Vicomte de Panette, because it was once played by Vicomte de Panette, and then it was played by the great Isaac Stern for 40 years. And it was sold in 1994 to a collectioner, somebody who was owning the violins, and who bought it to Isaac Stern and then sold it 10 years later. And a Swiss bank bought it for me because they made me choose which violin I wanted, and I was lucky enough to have the chance to have this violin in front of me, and I totally fell in love with the sound, and it is now my violin since 10 years, and it's violin of my life. So I might want to not to leave it at all, all my life, and it's owned by Banchera Svizzera Italiana, but I'm playing it, and it's a privilege, really.
Yes, it sounds absolutely fantastic.
Well, it has all the qualities of Italian violins have, plus it is speaking. So it's not just loud, or it is speaking, and it has soul, so it's wonderful.
Yes, I really hope that very many of our audience and the citizens of Oslo will come to listen to this concert and to hear a new piece wonderfully played, performed by you.
Thank you.